This is NBC Nightly News with John Chancellor, who is on assignment, and Roger Mudd in New York.
Good evening. An Air Florida 737 with at least 70 people aboard crashed in a snowstorm this afternoon after taking off from the Washington National Airport. The plane hit Washington's 14th Street Bridge, which was filled with the cars of homebound commuters, and then crashed into the icy Potomac River. It's not known how many people were killed, but at least 16 survivors were taken to hospitals. It was Air Florida's Flight 90 bound for Tampa. George Lewis has more on the crash.
The plane, a two-engine Boeing 737, slammed into a bridge connecting Washington and Virginia, then fell into the Potomac. It was just before 4, the bridge heavily loaded with commuter traffic, people trying to get home early in a snowstorm. The plane sheared off the tops of several cars, killing at least 6 people. According to early reports, the plane, Air Florida Flight 90, from Washington to Tampa and Fort Lauderdale, had 68 passengers and 5 crew members on board. Joe Pisciuto had just left his job at the Pentagon when the plane crashed. He was on the bridge.
We were heading across the bridge into D.C. The visibility was real poor. Traffic was heavy. The first thing I saw was what appeared to, it was a white and blue aircraft, what appeared to be a 737, and it was taken off from the National Airport. It hit several vehicles, and the next thing I didn't see anything, but I smelled petrol, so I just assumed it landed in a drink, and indeed it did.
And did you see the scene on top of the bridge after?
Yes, I did. It veered 4 vehicles, 1 big truck, and seared the tops of these vehicles. And I understand there are several people have been killed.
Efforts to rescue the survivors were hindered by the bad weather, the poor visibility, the heavy traffic, and the cold. Ambulances from all over the Washington area were rushed to the scene. Army and Air Force helicopters joined in the rescue effort. It's going to be several more hours, perhaps all night, before the job of picking the bodies out of the river is completed. It's a job complicated by the fact that the river is full of ice. So it's going to be a long and very cold and very grisly night for the rescue workers. George Lewis, NBC News, Washington.
About 30 minutes after the plane crash, 4 cars of a Washington subway train were derailed. At least 3 people were killed and many others were injured. The cars were packed with commuters going home early because of the storm. The accident happened between the Smithsonian and the Federal Triangle stops on the Metro. The storm in Washington is part of a larger system of snow and cold, which is still bringing havoc to much of the east. Snow is falling tonight on the middle Atlantic and the Northeast. The bitter cold temperatures eased off today, but the snow added traffic problems and airport delays. The snow has been working its way north. It hit Atlanta last night, creating big problems. Kenley Jones reports.
In Atlanta, the snow turned to ice and the freeways became giant parking lots. Thousands of motorists, unable to cope, abandoned their cars. Georgia Governor George Busby called out the National Guard to help stranded motorists dig out.
We get this about every 3rd year, so I don't guess it's enough to get any experience walking or driving in it, so it really shuts us down.
Much of the South is shut down because of the weather. In Alabama, 750,000 people are reported to be without electricity because power lines snapped under the weight of ice and falling tree limbs. In Florida, rain hampered efforts to pick freeze-damaged citrus fruit hurriedly and get it processed before it spoils. The Florida Citrus Commission has embargoed fresh fruit shipments for 10 days to protect the state's reputation for quality citrus. And in Texas, where parts of the state are under 10 inches of snow and many roads are impassable, weathermen say a new storm is forming. Kenley Jones, NBC News.
This week's cold and snow have contributed to the deaths of up to 150 people.
Thanks to CertainTeed's Bucket Bundle insulation rebate, our home won't be an icebox anymore. The Bucket Bundle rebate saved us $40 when insulating our attic with CertainTeed's 6-inch thick R19 fiberglass.
This CertainTeed rebate is just too good to pass up. And easy-to-handle bundles even fit through small attic openings.
It's easy to install.
We save on the installation, and we may qualify for a tax credit.
It can be the difference between being cold and being cozy.
Don't wait. Insulate now and save up to $40. fresh perked ground roast coffee. There's nothing like it. Or is there? Is there another way to get that ground roast look, that wonderful aroma, that delicious fresh perked taste? Ah, Taster's Choice. Freeze-dried as soon as it's perked to capture real ground roast flavor. Taster's Choice regular and green label decaffeinated. Looks, smells, and tastes like ground roast coffee. Ah.
The Reagan administration still is engaged in what they call around the White House damage control on its tax-exempt policy for private segregated schools. The head of the NAACP accused the president of Orwellian double talk today, and there's now promise of a congressional hearing. Steve Delaney reports.
The Internal Revenue Service now says it is not going to process applications for tax exemptions from schools which discriminate against blacks. This in spite of its decision last Friday to stop blocking tax exemptions to such schools. That is, in effect, a full stop on the policy shift which has been widely criticized and from which the White House has been backing off ever since. By Monday morning, when Vice President Bush met with top blacks on the White House staff, including Mel Bradley and Thad Garrett, they were reporting widespread resentment of the tax exemption for segregated schools from within the black community. After several staff blacks met with President Reagan, he issued a statement yesterday that he's flatly opposed to discrimination, would not knowingly support it, and wants Congress to spell out how tax exemptions can be issued without endorsing segregation. The administration has drafted nothing yet, but when such a bill does reach Capitol Hill, it should be well received by Senate Finance Committee Chairman Bob Dole, who believes the policy shift was a mistake.
I think the important part is the president, once it was called to his attention, he understood the politics of it, moved very quickly to stop the hemorrhaging.
House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Dan Rostenkowski says a new law may not even be needed. The IRS position as of today is that the agency will take a long, hard look at any new applications. What that means is that no exemptions will be issued for the foreseeable future. But nobody has offered any explanation of why the administration did not foresee the critical storm that last Friday's decision would generate. Steve Delaney, NBC News, Washington.
Every president in recent memory has been driven into temper fits by news leaks, but almost every government policymaker worth his salt has probably done some leaking. Now Ronald Reagan has announced a campaign to shut off the leaks using all legal methods. Judy Woodruff reports.
The president was described by aides as madder than hell over a continuing series of leaked stories on every subject, from the choice of Walter Stessel as Deputy Secretary of State to speculation that top White House aide Ed Meese was on his way out. But when Treasury Secretary Regan predicted on the Today Show last week that the president would propose a tax increase this year, the White House took action and ordered that all top administration officials first clear television appearances with the White House. Another story over the size of the proposed defense budget made administration officials so angry that the number 2 man at the Pentagon, Frank Carlucci, asked the people with access to the information to take lie detector tests. It was leaks involving foreign and defense policy, including over the decision not to sell a new fighter plane to Taiwan, that apparently provoked yesterday's presidential statement sharply restricting the freedom of government officials to talk to the press about foreign policy and defense matters. To identify the sources of leaked classified information, the statement says employees with access to that information will be subject to investigation, to include the use of all legal methods. Officials said they couldn't say yet what those methods might be. A spokesman at the State Department defended the administration clampdown.
I think that the administration considers leaks a problem, and it's been made clear by everybody from the president and the secretary on down.
Today, the first day the guidelines were in effect, a number of reporters had meetings canceled by officials claiming they didn't want to risk violating the new rules. At the White House, officials said it was not the president's intention to stop legitimate stories from getting out, but they conceded that was a likely result. Judy Woodruff, NBC News, the White House.
The ERA movement took another beating today, this time in Oklahoma. By a vote of 27 to 21, the Oklahoma State Senate rejected the Equal Rights Amendment. 9 years ago, the Senate approved it, 24 to 7. 35 states have ratified, which is 3 short of the requisite number, but the question of whether time has already run out on the amendment is now tied up in court.
Location: a major metropolitan laboratory. We're about to reveal how Digel gives you more than just antacid relief by actually cutting the top off a Digel tablet. Results: This illustrates, without its top layer, Digel consumes excess heartburn-producing acid. What's more, observe as we dramatize the gas-calming action of the simethicone in Digel. Digel has this extra layer for extra relief. Conclusion, when you need extra relief, demand Digel relief.
This could be just another year for you, or the year of the century, the new Buick Century. Its front-wheel drive could pull you merrily through the winter's snow. Its four-cylinder engine, available V6 gasoline or diesel, could splash through spring with exceptional mileage. And its roomy dimensions could carry a family of 5 with luggage through the wonderful days of summer. Buick's new Century. It could turn just another year into the year of the century.
Vicks Formula 44D, please.
Helen, with this nasty cough plus congestion, I need...
Formula 44D.
But Helen, I need a decongestant, not just strong cough medicine.
You need Formula 44D. It's strong like Formula 44. Has the strongest non-narcotic cough suppressants you can buy. Plus ingredients to help unstuff your nose and loosen up for chest congestion.
That's what I said. Formula 44D. Strong for coughs plus congestion.
Polish authorities took foreign reporters to the city of Poznan today in an effort to show them how well things are going under martial law. The authorities arranged a press conference with a Solidarity leader who had expressed support for martial law, but then the whole effort blew up in their faces. John Cochran reports.
Zdzisław Rozwalek, the Poznan Solidarity leader, told foreign reporters he retracts a statement he signed last month supporting martial law. Rozwalek said that he signed under duress, that he feared he would be interned unless he signed. Rozwalek also said he was asked by a government minister to help form a new trade union. But Rozwalek said he refused because he was not allowed to meet with his leader, Lech Wałęsa. Here in Poznan, 156 people were interned, according to the official count. A Polish student said 4 of his teachers, all of them Solidarity members, were interned.
Simply because they were activists and that they were not, did not sign the loyalty declaration.
But the authorities say that Poznan has been a model for other cities to follow under martial law. Poznan was not always so well behaved. 2 massive crosses were built last summer in memory of the 76 people who died in 1956 during an armed clash between workers and security forces. The 1956 riot started after angry workers marched out of this engine factory, the largest factory in Poznan. Now, armored personnel carriers are stationed at an entrance. There is no strike now, but there is a slowdown. 96% of the workers at this plant are Solidarity members, and some of them claim they have lowered production by 50 to 60%. Here is advice the Solidarity resistance is offered to workers. Pretend you are a fool. Do not solve any problems at work. Ask the military commissars and the informers around you a lot of foolish questions. Waste their time. Complain that work and safety regulations require you to work very carefully. We have no way of knowing how widespread the slowdowns are. But if the authorities regard this as a model factory in a model town, then it is reasonable to assume, even from our brief visit, that a lot of work is not being done. John Cochran, NBC News, Poznan.
A hunger strike is now going on at the American Embassy in Moscow. The hunger strikers are 2 Soviet citizens, 2 of 7 Pentecostal Christians, who want to force the Soviets to let them go to the United States. Phil Bremen reports.
Each day, Lydia Vashenko worries more and more about what the embassy doctor will say. She and her mother, Augustina, say they have not eaten since the Christmas holidays, and the doctor has warned them and other members of their family that by the end of this week, he may have to send at least one of them to a hospital. The only hospitals available are run by the Soviet government. The Vashenkos, Pentecostal Christians, say that government has persecuted them for 20 years for their religious beliefs. For the last 3.5 years, 5 members of the Vashenko family and 2 members of the Shmykhalov family have lived in a single basement room of the American Embassy in Moscow. They had to run past the Soviet guard to get in. Now they are tired of living in the embassy and deeply afraid of leaving it. They fear the Soviet government will punish them harshly unless it lets them leave the country. The embassy says it has done all it can to get Soviet permission for them to emigrate, but to no avail. Embassy officials are against the hunger strike, but
there is no way that we can stop them. No, that's a decision they have to make for themselves.
embassy officials won't say what they'll do if the hunger strikers need more medical care than the embassy can provide. But one source confided that the United States certainly cannot let them die here, and certainly can offer them no protection once they step outside the embassy gates. Phil Bremen, NBC News, Moscow.
Secretary of State Haig met in Cairo today with Egypt's President Hosni Mubarak. Haig and Mubarak met for an hour. The secretary said afterward that Egypt had agreed to intensify its negotiations with Israel on Palestinian autonomy. Haig is visiting Egypt and Israel in an effort to get the deadlocked autonomy talks going again, but so far there's been no indication that he's made much progress. Soldiers and airplanes are searching the Sahara Desert in southern Algeria for Mark Thatcher, the 28-year-old son of Britain's Prime Minister. Thatcher and two companions have been missing since Friday when their car broke down during an automobile race. There are reports they may have crossed into Mali.
One delicious bowl of Kellogg's Product 19 good. Starts you with 100% of 9 vitamins and iron.
Bye, Mildred.
Vitamins that can keep you company during the day. So through rain or shine, you're never alone. No matter how things stack up, the vitamins in Product 19 can help. 100% of the way, 100% of the day.
Good night, Mildred.
Kellogg's Product 19. We're with you 100%.
Gaddafi. Our competition wrote about the madness in his methods. At Newsweek, we also saw the method in his madness. We revealed a man so feared, the CIA marked him for possible death. So dangerous, he was sheltering the terrorist Carlos. And so arrogant, we disclosed the Reagan decision to confront him 2 days before the air battle that stunned the world. But not the readers of Newsweek. We don't fit the mold. We break it. Newsweek.
High noon at 98 in the valley.
98? Boy, would I like some ice cold, orange juice right now. Yeah, orange juice would sure hit the spot. High time for something cool and good.
Hi, Harry, the usual?
Nope. Today, make it orange juice.
100% pure orange juice from Florida. It isn't just for breakfast anymore.
The Ford Motor Company said today it needs more time to consider the cost-saving plan that General Motors and the United Auto Workers agreed on yesterday. And negotiations between GM and the union, which looked cordial 24 hours ago, today hit a snag. Jim Cummins reports from Detroit.
Today, Ford heard details of the Auto Workers Union agreement with GM to pass along any cost savings from labor concessions to customers. Ford Chairman Philip Caldwell said he wants to hear how much the union plans to give back before he cuts the price of his cars.
When we understand what the total proposition is, then I can respond to your question.
Meanwhile, GM told the union what it wanted back, and UAW President Douglas Fraser said he was shocked by the size of GM's demands. But GM dealers are saying there must be big union concessions to permit big cuts in car prices.
$200, $300, even $500, I don't believe is going to move the market. But I think anything over $700 will make a change in the market.
Many workers at this Chevrolet plant said they are willing to give up one of their benefits to cut the price of cars.
Pay personal holidays. I give that up.
If we have to do it, we have to do it.
But leaders of their union locals say the workers will have to give up much more, like some medical and retirement benefits, to cut car prices significantly.
Those things, to me, are sacred, and I'd hate to see us lose some things that were fought real hard to gain.
Some UAW leaders are saying they won't be able to convince their members to give back much unless the companies guarantee some things in return, like job security, stock options, and profit sharing. Jim Cummins, NBC News, Detroit.
In Newport, Rhode Island today, jury selection for the Klaus von Bülow trial continued. Von Bülow is accused of twice trying to murder his wife. The defense has already admitted in court he was having an affair with another woman. This jury selection has brought up a sticky question. When the accused is a high society millionaire, what is a jury of his peers? Lee McCarthy reports.
In Superior Court in Newport, Rhode Island, 101 prospective jurors have been sworn by Judge Thomas Needham. 16 jurors and alternates will be selected to decide if the wealthy Klaus von Bülow is guilty of trying to murder his wife, who is even wealthier.
A defendant is entitled, ladies and gentlemen,
to a jury of his peers.
Peers in the eyes of the law, but Klaus von Bülow will not be tried by his economic peers. Von Bülow's neighbors, members of Newport's summer colony, leave town in the winter. The mansions along Bellevue Avenue are empty. The von Bülow jury will be made up of ordinary men and women who live in ordinary homes in Newport County. The prosecutor says selecting a jury from a cross-section of the community will ensure a fair trial for von Bülow.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he has to have a jury of 16 people from Bellevue Avenue.
But defense lawyer Harold Price Farringer is afraid of prejudice because of his client's wealth.
We know that poor people get justice in court very easily, but there is some resentment to people who have achieved wealth, and that's what we're trying to sort out right now.
In court, Farringer spent more than 20 minutes sorting out the feelings of one potential juror.
Do you believe that as a wealthy man, he's entitled to the same amount of justice in this courtroom as any person? Certainly.
The defense and prosecution agree jury selection will be difficult in this case. The process is expected to take 7 or 8 days. Lee McCarthy, NBC News, Newport, Rhode Island.
As the cost of fuel climbs, wood-burning stoves are becoming increasingly popular in the United States. More than 6 million homes use them, and the number is growing, but so too are the dangers. Mark Nycanen reports.
Philip Cross's house burned down last fall. The fire was started by a wood-burning stove. The United States Fire Administration says that wood heating has become the #1 cause of home heating fires. That's because many people who turn to wood to save energy costs aren't burning it safely.
It's 27 years we lived here of history gone out of our lives. That's why we raised all our children, and it was home.
More than 6 million American homes now use wood-burning stoves for heating. About 100,000 more convert to wood heat each year.
There's been an explosive growth in the number of wood-burning stove fires in the last few years.
The Fire Administration says there were 84,000 wood heating fires last year. More than 300 people died in them. Those numbers show a 65% increase over the previous year.
A wood-burning stove fire usually starts in the chimney. Smoke from the stove leaves a flammable deposit in a chimney. If that deposit isn't removed, it will burn, and the results can be devastating.
The next thing I remember is I was outside, and, you know, I just thought I was in a bad dream, and I wanted to wake up.
Brenda Look, 30 years old. Last year, a wood-burning stove fire destroyed her home and killed her family. Husband Jim, 6-year-old Becky, 3-year-old Sammy.
There's always going to be a big emptiness in me and a big sense of loss. You know, no matter how long I live, it's always going to be there.
A wood stove can do the job, save energy too, but it can be dangerous.
The problem of wood-burning stove fires is so severe in Maine and in other states that a television safety campaign is now underway in them. It urges owners of wood-burning stoves to clean chimneys and have their stoves inspected by firemen. Even so, fire experts say the number of wood-burning stove fires is likely to increase each year until people learn to use wood-burning stoves safely. Mark Nycanen, NBC News, Bangor, Maine.
Hank Aaron and Frank Robinson got the final seal of approval on their careers today. They were elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. It was the first year both were eligible. Aaron holds the career record for home runs, 755, and Robinson was the only man to win the Most Valuable Player award in both leagues.
Sore throat? Say ah. Septic. The ah in Chloraseptic is for fast temporary relief of minor sore throat pain.
Septic.
Doctors and pharmacists have been recommending Chloraseptic for over 20 years. When your throat hurts, say ah. Chloraseptic. Liquid, lozenges, and children's Chloraseptic. Fast relief for sore throat pain.
We asked Roger Staubach to find out how people spell relief.
How do you spell relief?
For acid indigestion, R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
For heartburn, R-O-L-A-I-D-S. Rolaids really does spell relief.
Like a sponge, Rolaids antacid medicine consumes 100% of the acid required to give millions 100% relief.
How do you spell relief?
R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
For millions of Americans, Rolaids spells 100% relief.
When I heard that DuPont was building a chemical plant right next to here, I figured it was goodbye gardens. But DuPont installed equipment to minimize noise and systems to control air and water pollution to meet or surpass all local, state, and federal regulations. Turns out DuPont cared about the natural environment as much as I did. Now people come to see my gardens and never realize just beyond the trees there's a DuPont chemical plant going full tilt.
DuPont, makers of better things for better living.
NBC News correspondent George Lewis, who is at the scene of today's plane crash in Washington, now has an update on the story.
Roger, according to the National Transportation Safety Board, there are 17 survivors, a combination of people pulled out of the plane wreckage and people who were on the bridge, commuters whose cars were hit by the airplane. According to the NTSB, the rest of the passengers on the plane can be presumed to be dead in the wreckage under the water in the Potomac. A secondary search for bodies is now going on. Divers are in the frigid water trying to pull them out of the plane wreckage. It will go on for several more hours. Roger?
There are 100 quotes about men and boys and brothers and fathers. Am I my brother's keeper from the book of Genesis? Like father, like son from Piers Plowman. But there is no quote that precisely fits the story Barbara Rowan found in a prison near Houston.
This is a maximum security prison. More than 2,000 convicts are held here. It is also home for Stanley Fletcher and his 18-year-old son Curtis. Not only are they cellmates, the two also work together in the prison woodworking shop. Fletcher is teaching his son to become a carpenter.
Check that corner there.
It was in this setting that Fletcher and his son were reunited after more than 10 years apart.
The last time I saw Curtis, he used to get up and watch me shave in the morning and drink coffee with me. I just felt like just grabbing him up and hugging him.
I've just been over here for a short time. We just now getting to a point where we get to know each other.
By the time Curtis was 6, his father was already serving a 50-year sentence for 2 rape convictions. 10 years later, Curtis was sentenced to 9 years for robbing a woman at gunpoint.
I hate that he did come down here, but I'm real glad that I can have him with me.
I just know that if I run into any trouble with things while I'm down here, I can turn to him.
Since he is here, and since he's got to be here, well, I'm just glad he's with me.
Not all fathers and sons are permitted to live and work together in the Texas prison system, but officials believe this father and son team has a chance to break the cycle of crime. Stanley and Curtis hope someday to open a cabinet-making shop when they are paroled. Barbara Rowan, NBC News, Houston.
That's NBC Nightly News for Wednesday. John Chancellor will be back here tomorrow, galoshes and all. I'm Roger Mudd. Good night.
Wednesday, meet a man who has a head for advertising on real people. Then it's showtime for the girls. Natalie gets cold feet.
Break a leg. I should be so lucky.
Then Lori's going to be written out of her soap opera.
I'll get a job.
Unless the show's writer gets love from Sydney. Then can Quincy find a jinxed handgun before it kills again? A night of comedy and drama Wednesday.